It's 2024 and Samsung just released the S24 lineup. And today we're going to talk about the S24 Ultra and what this means for you. Maybe you've already considered purchasing the device, have purchases or it arrived at your doorstep, and now you have this $1,300 phone and you're asking yourself, what is it that I'm going to do with it? Today we're going to talk about some productivity apps that you can use to really make this device something that when you have with you on your daily carry, you are able to get the most from. We're going to talk about the S Pen and how you can utilize that for note taking and digital planning and how that functionality is going to help you get further on your return with this device. Before we get into that, let's talk about the device a little bit and just a little bit of first impressions of it. When I first saw this device, I had to tell myself that this device is rock solid. I love the fact that they went to this matte finish look on the phone. I love that they went to titanium edging, which seems to be the new trend, and the squared off look. Now we've seen other versions of Galaxy phones in the past years where the screen was curved, and now we have like this almost borderless bezel, and it virtually almost goes end to end. And with the squared off look, it really gives you the feeling that this phone is entirely of screen. Now, we do know that there is some hardware changes and we can dive into those. It has a 5,000 milliwatt battery, but more importantly, we went from a 10x to a 5x and 3x telephoto. Now, what's unique about that is the 10x to 5x, we actually gained resolution with the 5x. And to me, I actually feel that's an upgrade. I'd rather have 5x telephoto with higher resolution than 10x with lower resolution. I just don't think so many people are using the 10x, and that's probably why they did it. And with the 5x having higher resolution, 50 megapixels to be exact, you really have a lot more opportunities to utilize some of the software features and editing qualities that this phone has to offer. And let's talk about some of those qualities in general. This phone was advertised as Galaxy S24 AI, and they've introduced a lot of AI into the system. Some of it we've already known, like they introduced AI into the photo app, which we've had Google Lens that kind of done the same thing in the past, but now we have so many more features across other ecosystems and applications. For example, there's AI now in the Notes app, there's AI in the phone, so you can literally have a conversation with someone and translate that. And AI has really become part of this ecosystem. And as you guys have followed the internet over the last year, AI is really starting to become more and more part of our life. So naturally speaking, advertising and promoting some of the AI functionality of this device is a win-win for everyone, even though some of it already has existed throughout the environments of the apps that we currently use. But when we talk about productivity, one of the big things that really excited me about the Note series lineup was the S Pen. The S Pen gave you so many different opportunities, especially when it came to navigating these larger screen devices, to be able to use the gestures in the S Pen to either take photos, to move throughout the device, whatever the nature it be. But really what it did for me is in the Note series, it really provided me the opportunity to take handwritten notes. How many times in the old days did you have a pad of paper and you would take a note and you would lose it? Well, now if you take a note on this device, you have it with you wherever you go. Well, the one thing the Note always kind of lacked was some of the best hardware. So when they introduced kind of the when they basically merged the Note and the S lineup together, you got the best hardware with what I would consider one of the best features of a mobile device, and that is the S Pen. So today, guys, we are going to talk about 3 apps that you can utilize to really embark on a note-taking and digital planning journey. We're going to talk about OneNote, Samsung Notes, and Penly. Now, these applications provide you different opportunities, provide you the ability to not only take notes, but synchronize those notes across a couple of devices. There's even some really interesting opportunities with inside each of the applications to create collaboration and pull other document forms. When I think you take this S24 Ultra, pair it with an S Pen and incorporate some of these other collaborative and note-taking apps, you really have a device, something that you carry with you every day wherever you go, as something that you can use to kind of like plan, structure, and create the plan and life that you want for yourself. And I think that's what's so important. So let's take a look at that. So the 3 apps that we're going to be talking about is OneNote, Samsung Notes, and Penly. And before we get started with those 3 apps, I want to tell you the comparisons and pros and cons of each one of the apps so you can better understand why we are considering these 3 apps in the first place. When we talk about OneNote, OneNote is a universal application. What makes this app universal is it can be used across Windows, Android, and Apple devices. So if I have this S24 Ultra and I'm taking notes on here, those notes are going to synchronize across my other devices and ecosystems. So if I'm at my Windows computer or my Apple laptop, I can view those notes there. Maybe I have an iPad and I can see those notes there. Or if I have other Samsung or Android devices, I'm able to see those notes there. Now, one thing that's unique about OneNote is because it's a universal device, there are several different platforms or user interfaces. So the experience on a mobile device is not the same experience that you would see on a desktop. However, you have the same writing capabilities that you have across all the applications you have on the mobile device. So I can easily take notes on this device, they can synchronize to my desktop, and I can unlock tons of different features like converting my handwritten notes to text. When I talk about Samsung Notes, this is kind of an all-in-one app. It's an app that can be used on the device. There's a lot of features. For example, I can convert my ink to text right inside the app, and then this allows my notes to sync across other Samsung devices. The key word there is Samsung devices. At this time, it'll synchronize across other Samsung phones, laptops, and tablets. Now, there is ability that you can feed or share your notes into OneNote. However, it's not something I recommend and encourage, but for many of you that explore that, it is an opportunity to look at. Now, when we look at Penly, Penly is a device for Android users. It only works on Android devices and it cannot synchronize outside those platforms. You're not able to bring it in your computer unless you use the phone app. Now, the phone app allows you to virtually see your phone on your Windows desktop. And matter of fact, you're actually able to see then not only this app, but every app that you use on your phone, you're able to use on your Windows computer. And that makes part of this conversation kind of like out the door because I can pull in my phone, but you're not going to have your phone accessible and available to you every time you're at your desk. And what happens when you want to use your phone for something else, like take a phone call, and now you cannot utilize that feature on your desktop computer or laptop that is a Windows device. So when I look at these three different apps, they all kind of have their place. They all have slightly different features, but they all are able to be used with the S Pen. So let's talk about the advantages of each one and show you a little demo how to use them. When it comes to using OneNote, I can import or create my own notebook. So I can go ahead and create a notebook and choose an account that I want to have it sync across. And then that way that notebook will sync across all my devices, or I can import a notebook such as a digital planner. Now today we're using the Key to Success Planner. The Key to Success Planner is available for you and for everyone. It's designed for personal, professional, business, and executive use. There's 4 different editions. So if you're looking to have a planner that kind of represents what a paper planner did at one time but have digital, this is a system that you're going to want to look at. And for less than $30 a year, you can start with our personal edition, and we have a complete free training course that shows you how to take on this planning system and really change your life at a lot of different levels. But when it comes to utilizing the planner, you can come in, you can choose the month of the year, and we can physically see the plans that we have in front of us for today. Now, what's really unique about OneNote is it is an application that you can type in, you can create hyperlinks, you can even handwrite and highlight in, and you can see all those tools across the top here. So I can go ahead and I can choose a color, I can choose a thickness. In this case, if I wanted black, maybe bring the size down a little bit, I can go ahead and look at this. Film, or actually video, S24 Ultra. And I can go ahead and use that to create a note. I can also go ahead and choose a highlighter. So in this case, I'm going to use orange, and I can go ahead and pull my highlighter right here. And if I want to move that, maybe we're getting a little late in the day and we're going to expand that, we can do that and we can move that down a little bit. So that's one thing really unique about the mobile version of OneNote. It has probably what I would consider the core features to be able to ink, highlight, and lasso, but it also has other core features. I can hit the stop button, and bringing the stop button is going to bring the keyboard up, and I can go ahead and tap on the screen, and let's just say church meeting. And now I have the ability to type in my planning system, and I can click here and I can move that where I want it. I can copy and paste. I can also change the text, I can highlight, I can underline, I can make it bold, whole sorts of different features. Now, one thing that makes using a digital planner really beneficial is being able to use that lasso tool to copy to-dos. You can go ahead and copy, and you can literally jump to the next day in your planning system and jump back and go ahead and paste those to-dos right on the page. To me, that is probably one of the biggest and most helpful tips when it comes to daily planning, is being able to take your to-dos from one day to the next day. And this is something that each one of these apps offers. So no matter which one you go with, you're going to have that feature. So two additional things I want to share with you. First and foremost, when you think of OneNote, think of it as like a filing cabinet. This notebook has group sections as you would drawers, sections like you would files, and then folders that you're able to use to help organize and sort out your information. So you can see here in the navigation that there's all these different areas and places that you can use to break down your information. The other thing really powerful about OneNote is the fact that you can use tiles, which are digital stickers, to help personalize and optimize your planner. So I can come into my projects tiles, and you can see there's a number of samples in there, but I can come into one of these tiles here, and I can literally just take one of them. I can go ahead and use this lasso tool to select the tile and then hit copy. And then I can jump into one of my pages. So I can jump back into my daily page here. And I want to personalize and add on to that page. I can simply copy and hit paste. And now I'm able to bring that tile or that element back into that page. What this really allows you to do is have an infinite canvas to work from, so you can make your daily planner what it is that you want. And we have tons of different tiles, so go ahead and check out our website. There's everything for professional planning, for projects, meetings, recipe, contact tiles, you name it, there is a tile for it. And if we don't have it, let us know and we'll help make it for you. So that right there is a look at OneNote, an application that you can use for planning and note-taking on the S24. As we look at the next two applications, Samsung Notes and Penly, the first thing I want you guys to know is when it comes to digital planning, if you're going to be using a digital planner inside these apps, you need to get a PDF planner, as these are PDF annotation apps. So you can bring an interactive planner into them and be able to navigate across them. You can also create notebooks that have templates and forms inside the respective app. When I go ahead and I open up Samsung Notes, you're going to see that I have my notebooks here. Now I can pull in a PDF here, or I can go ahead and create a note here. We already have our PDF, so we're going to go ahead and open this up. And the first thing I want you guys to know, that when you are in this device, up here is the reading and writing mode. We're currently in the reading mode. I can go ahead and click on a particular date, and I'll actually navigate to that date. I can utilize the different months here to view, and I can get to the individual dates that way. I can get to my key page, which is a page that I can utilize to see my entire index of everything we have to offer. But in this case, I want to go ahead and jump to January. I want to jump to January 1st. So when I jump into the page here, I can go ahead and pinch and zoom, and that allows me to easily see the different things that are on my plate for the day. I can see my schedule over here, and as you can see with Samsung Notes, I can write and I can type in the planner, so I'm able to utilize both functions. But as I showed you, as I entered from reading mode, it brought up my pen tool when I was in the writing mode. And from the pen tool, I had the ability to go ahead and choose different pens, different thicknesses, and different colors. I can see my highlighter tool, the same scenario, different types of highlighters, different types of sizes, as well as the opacity. I can bring the opacity down, and side by side you can see that it's a little lighter than what the previous opacity was. Now once you find the settings you like, you can go ahead and star those settings, and that'll actually create a gallery of your favorites. And anytime you can go ahead and select one of your favorites and come back on the screen and make that favorite happen. Now under the eraser tool, you can see here, we can go ahead and erase, but we also can tap on it and we have different opportunities to erase. So if I only want to erase an area, I can do something slightly different. And now what it's going to do is it's going to erase just the area versus before it erased the entire stroke. And one of my favorite features is to erase the highlighter only. So I'm going to turn on stroke eraser, come up here, and as I come across this, you're going to see it's going to erase just the highlighter. And then I have the ability to turn that off. Now what's so neat about that is if I have all these different highlights, I like to use highlights to help coordinate and classify my different activities, kind of like categories. In addition to the eraser tool, the next tool that I highly recommend that we've talked about before is that lasso tool. And that allows you to go ahead and select text. You can go ahead and move it. You can go ahead and type it. One thing that's really unique about the lasso tool on Samsung Notes is I can go ahead and select my handwritten text, and choose these three little dots, and I can actually convert that handwritten note to text. And you can see here it says Coffee with Tom, and I can convert it. And now I actually have text that I can utilize in my planning system. And from here, I can easily copy and paste that. We also have tools like the undo button, so we can go ahead and undo that. We can undo a lot of the little things that we just did to get back to our original settings. And we also have the ability to add some AI functionality. And we also have this write to text. So this is really a unique tool. I can go ahead and turn this tool on. The first thing I want to do is select an area. So I'm just going to tap and hold here and hit add text box. That's going to create my text box. And now I can go ahead and write. And here I'm just going to write the word write. And you can see that that converted that handwritten text directly to write. So I'm going to put the word to, write to, phone. And this is a fairly awesome job. And you can see it converts that. And then from there, I can easily take this text box, I can move it, I can resize it, I can change different things about the text, I can add a different color to it, I can underline it, whatever you would expect out of your text mode. So that is a quick look at Samsung Notes, and by all means, we have a deep dive. Go ahead and check out the video here. It dives deep into Samsung Notes, shows you things like how to personalize, customize, and even collaborate your notes across your devices and even across people for that matter. So let's take a look at Penly, which is the last app that we wanted to share with you today when it comes to digital planning and note taking. With all the applications we showed you today, we've showed you them with the system already imported. Now there's additional instructions on how you can go ahead and import PDFs into these apps or notebooks into OneNote on our website. So if that's something you're interested, go ahead and check out. But inside Penly, like we talked about before, this is an app that's available in Google Play and available for Android users. So it will be able to use across platforms outside of Samsung Notes that still utilize Android. So one of the first things I want you guys to know is you can go ahead and you can rotate this to landscape and utilize it as such. You can keep it in portrait mode, but you can also go ahead and pinch to zoom, which is one of my favorite features of utilizing these apps. Now, like I said before, all these items here are hyperlinks, so I can easily click on a monthly planning page, get to individual date and click on a day, and this brings me to my individual day that I have here. And across the top, I have the ability to access all these different tools. Some of the tools that are most notable, again, are the pen tool. If I select the pen tool, you're going to see that I have color as well as line thickness. Not nearly as many options as either of the two apps prior, but there still is some options there. Same thing with highlighter. I have a different thicknesses of highlighting as well as additional colors. And when I use the eraser, I have the ability to use different sizes of the eraser, and I have the ability now to choose to erase over drawings, highlight, text, shape, images, link, group, and lock. So what actually makes that a little bit more of a feature than we saw in the other two. In Samsung Notes, we saw that we were able to erase just the highlighting, but now we can go ahead and choose what we want to erase. Again, we have a text tool, and across this app as well as all the apps, we can introduce other forms of media. And we have that select tool that's so important. Probably one of the biggest things that I think that's so fascinating about this app, and one that I like to talk about, is the ability to create hyperlinks. So inside this app, you can actually create a hyperlink which you can use to jump from one section of the planner to another section of the planner. And I show how you can do this in our full tutorial of how to use Penly. So if that is something that interests you, you're going to want to go ahead and check out the description and learn about that video. It's a real good deep dive into using Penly, and you can see all the different features, including even how to copy and duplicate pages inside the system. But as far as writing goes, it is what you'd expect. We have a couple different tools there, and I can go ahead and choose to write on the screen as I would with the other apps. And again, I can adjust that line thickness, and I can bring that down and go ahead and write the meeting. And the same thing goes with highlighting. I can click on there and I can adjust the thickness and choose the highlight. And that last little tool, as you can see here, allows me to go ahead. Now, I told you before that we can also group and lock shapes. So if I want to lock and group that highlight and that text, I can do that by simply clicking here, and now that is highlight. And that is where we can also then create the link functionality. We can link to another page as well as link to the web, and there's so much you can do with that One of the most powerful things that I do with this is I often will link to my meeting note pages and then put those pages onside my calendar. So I simply tap and hold and it takes me to the meeting page. That is something that is super cool. And when you can do this on your device, it really speeds up your productivity. You're going to want to check that out in the video and learn how to do that for yourself. But that is the basics on Penly. I think it's a strong app. There's a lot of good uses for it, and it has a lot of the features that we see across all the other applications that we reviewed today. So there is a look at 3 different apps that you can utilize for digital planning and note-taking on the Samsung S24 Ultra. When you're utilizing the S Pen with this device, you're going to have the opportunity to take notes wherever you go and create plans that are going to brighten your future. And if you guys haven't already, you guys can go ahead, check out our website, keytosuccessplanner.com, and learn all about our planning system. But as you embark on this device, I strongly encourage you to take note of what these apps are and how you might utilize them in your daily life. Throughout this video, if you learn just one thing, do me a favor and like it. That'll help share with other people, other like-minded individuals like yourself that want to expand their knowledge and grow. And if you want to learn more about planning and tech reviews and how to better your productivity, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And by all means, if you got any questions, hit the comments. Myself or somebody else in the community, I'm sure will reach out to you. And just one pro tip here, go ahead, check out the comments. Learn what others have to say about these devices. There's a lot of benefits in them, and check back often. And for more information, check out our YouTube channel and see all the different playlists we have on various products and learn about these applications more in depth and how you can utilize them on other devices. With that being said, thank you for joining me on this video, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next one.